Perez. Walter makes a run ahead of him. Bergkamp suddenly changed pace through the centre. It's Bergkamp! That's magnificent! The move, and then this, which left Davies Ass totally stranded.
I've written down a few words. How many throw-ins did we end up giving away the ball? How many terrible back passes? How many times playing out of the back did we end up panicking, shitting our pants to clear it and give the ball away? How many times did we have the ball and under City pressure, we panicked again and gave the ball away? For 80 minutes, we were the best team. And yet again, in a style that Arsene Wenger would have been proud of, we threw it all away. We have now dropped 8 points from 3 games. Title gone, season over. Champions League is the only thing we've got left. With me tonight to talk about this is Deke and Stan. How you doing, gentlemen? Stupid question, I know.
I was letting Deke go first.
I think the silence is better.
Yeah, I'm fine. My brain's kind of switched off. It took me a minute when I first joined the call to realise that you were even talking to me, Danny. And this one wasn't a joke. That was real. Me taking a piss, but before I had no clue you were talking to me. I was like, this YouTube video sounds very much like Danny.
Just utter capitulation. They played tonight, Stan, like they've never played football before. The very basics of football. Don't give the ball away. Don't do a back pass. And he knew Grealish was behind him because he turned over and he saw him there. And the number of times that they give the ball to Ramsdale, Ramsdale will go, what do we do? I don't know what to do. I'll pass it to you quick. You pass it back to him. You pass it to me. It reminded me of when Emery first took over and we decided to do that playing out from the back nonsense. What's your thoughts on the game, Stan? Because I'm doing all I can not to swear because YouTube get the right hump when I swear.
Well, for me, I'd sum this game up in 2 ways. The first way being that it was a game of, decisive mistakes made by us, i.e. the Tomiyasu back pass, which we'll go into later. But then at the other end of the pitch as well, it was also a game of decisive missed opportunities. And I'm looking there at Eddie and Nketiah as well. A host of chances there that he could have had an opportunity to help us out there. And I think if both of those things don't happen, the mistakes, and we make more of those opportunities, then the game takes on a whole different complexion. If we don't let them in stupidly like that with that back pass, and at the other end of the pitch, Eddie's on target, the game could have taken a much different complexion. But I will round off by saying that, as disappointed as I am, I'm not going down it's all doom and gloom, because I think that there are still enough points up for grabs. And also as well, this is still a young team. You compare the average age of our team to the average age of their team. And also as well, when you look at our win-loss draw table for last season, you'll notice that there were some clusters, weren't there? We would have like 2 or 3 games where we would lose. And I've been waiting. I don't mean eagerly waiting, but I've been anticipating that. Wow. That's trippy.
I know, that should be a T-shirt. Don't steal it. For people at home, I've put up who's not watching this. I've put up. I've got a thing that I do, a Google spreadsheet, and it's got our orders of game 1 to game 38, and whether it's green for a win, red for a loss, and grey for a draw. And then we just look at that. So the first 19 games this season, we dropped dropped 7 points in 19 games. We now dropped 8 points in 3.
So I just to round off there, I've been kind of anticipating that we would go through a moment where there would be back-to-back losses, because it hasn't, if you look at last season to this season, we have improved. But I think what you are seeing is that this is still a young team, and sometimes Mikel Arteta is very wedded to the first 11. And it does take a little bit more than a first 11 to get to the finish line to win the league.
Sadly, it does indeed. Deke, have you managed to compose yourself to have any kind of words? Or
yeah, I made some notes throughout the game. But and I made notes even after after, it was pretty much over and done with. I think when Eddie missed his third chance, I think that was it for me. It's frustrating. The first goal and the second goal could have been avoidable, and the third goal is a bit of both. I think it was some excellent play from City and a little bit from us, but yeah, I think the whole situation. It is correct that that Stan said that we don't have the squad to win the title. We missed out on Partey today, and that showed. As much as Jorginho played some beautiful passing through the middle, I thought his vision is fantastic, even though he's not got the legs, which was shown in a moment. I can't remember. I made a note of it at the time, but Jorginho, if he misses the first challenge, he kind of turns into that Xhaka style where he hasn't got the legs to get back into position. But overall, I think it just literally comes down to the fact that Man City have got a squad and we don't.
Yeah, a little bit nice. Should we just go through some of the notes I've got from the game that don't involve me ranting and thinking it's the end of the world? Stan, the first note I've made is 14th minute, because I didn't realise it was a 7:30 kickoff, or was it a 7:45 kickoff? So I missed the first 8 minutes of the game. Anything happened before then, either of you two?
There was a poor Jorginho pass in the first 30 seconds, but that doesn't really matter now. But there was a foul on Saka. I thought early doors Bernardo Silva was asked by Pep Guardiola to get stuck in. I found it as well unusual to see Man City employ such shithousery tactics. I've never seen them do that sort of stuff before. I'm guessing that means that they were scared, and that we should take plaudits from that alone. We got Man City doing some really fucking Stoke Burnley shite of time wasting. They got 3 yellow cards in the first half just for shithousery moments, 2 wasted times, and 1 just being a cynical challenge. So, if we can grab anything, it would be that. But the frustrating thing for me was that Saka didn't get protected tonight. I think it was as a rotational thing on Saka again, and it's getting a little bit boring. At what point are we going to do something about it? I'm all believing of decent and fair football and challenges and stuff, but when you start seeing rotational fouling being done, and that comes with both sides. Grealish, he's renowned for being tackled the most, and hopefully he gets protected that way. But it felt like Saka was coming second best on most stuff, even though he wasn't statistically. But anyway, first 15 minutes, however, our closing down I thought was fucking spectacular. I thought our closing down was brilliant. I thought that we pushed and pressured Man City to the point where they were a shadow of their former selves in the first half, apart from obviously the mistake, which we'll come up to. But yeah, I thought we were brilliant in the first 15 minutes. It was fantastic to watch, and I was really optimistic.
Stan?
Even when we went down a goal as well, I wasn't panic stations. I felt that they were looking at what I'd seen up until that point. I felt there's still more goals to come. But in saying that now and looking back in hindsight, I'm a little bit disappointed that that one goal that we did have wasn't able to come from open play.
Yeah. We just looking at the stats for the game, total shots, we had 10, they had 9. We had 1 on target, they had 6 on target. I mean, that stat alone sums up the entire game. Possession, we had 67%, the 64, they had 36. Pass success rate, this is almost unbelievable. We had 83%, they had 73. You look at our passing, if you had a Man City player within 6 foot of any of our players, they just shit their pants and tried to get rid of it as quick as possible, by any means possible, even if they're facing the wrong way. I mean, Gabriel a couple of times got the ball and he passed it away from him without even looking to see where the ball was going to go. Like they were panicked. And then what other things we got here? Tackles, 13-17 to them. Corners, 3-1. I mean, how did we end up with 1 corner? They should have had another corner, which Grealish got. I think, did he get booked for that? Because, he got booked for dissent, because that should have been a corner for them. Because I think it was Tomiyasu cleared it out. Moving on to the next bit. Who wants to talk about the first goal, the Tommy mistake?
No one's going to be jumping in to deal with this one. Great pressure from Grealish on Tomiyasu. Everyone was talking about wanting Tomiyasu in place of. There we go. We've got the image up on screen here. pressure onto Tomiyasu. It should have been a clear-cut back pass to Ramsdale for a play out to Zinchenko or up to Jorginho in the middle of, or Xhaka, in the middle of the park. So, I have good pressure from Grealish, plays it back. It's short, frustrated. I think it shows once again as well the fact that, this is his first start in however long. We can't just we need to, Tomiyasu should have been coming into the lineup a little bit quicker than just being chucked in dry against City. Kevin De Bruyne pounced on the mistake and managed to first time play it round Ramsdale with a curling shot. It was a well taken effort from him. I can't deny that. But Ramsdale was screaming at to Tomiyasu to not play that pass and just to clear it out. So I don't know. I don't know.
I think this is the second time that I seem to remember Tomiyasu coming in for a game where he hadn't played a few matches and making a mistake.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether that's a trait of him, as you say, as you refer to it, as coming in dry, but I've seen that before. I just remember that when the goal went in and the camera went back onto Kevin De Bruyne, I don't know why, the first thing that popped into my head was Prince Harry. So that was so much so that was probably the one note that I wrote down on my pad. My pad just says Prince Harry.
There we go. Adam in the chat. Hello, Adam, if you're new. Hello. Adam says on YouTube, damn, Eddie headed chance. Xhaka wasting that counter by losing the ball on the edge of the box. Twice he did that. The overhit passes from both Xhaka and Jorginho on the edge of the box. We wasted some good chances there. Talbiful says on YouTube, first half was good. We lost this game from the back. For some reason, we just couldn't get away from the danger in the second half. And Paul Nell sums it up perfectly. Make mistakes versus City, got punished.
So here's the thing, though. Arteta can't win because leading up to this game, I had seen quite a large, a large part of the fan base making suggestions that Ben White has been looking sluggish since the World Cup, and that it was time for Tomiyasu to come back in. And now Tomiyasu's come back in, and he's made a mistake. Now I'm seeing people saying, "Well, he should have started Ben White." But it's a tough decision sometimes. And Ben White
was the right choice.
Ben White has been struggling a little bit. I think that's been evident. But sometimes this is what happens. He made that pass back. The keeper didn't want it. He just didn't get enough on it at all. Did not get enough on it for that pass back. And you got a player like Prince Harry on the pitch. He's just gonna he's gonna put it away.
Just looking at my notes again. The first one I've got is 14th minute. Tommy didn't mark Haaland properly. This was at the far post, the left-hand side as we're looking at it. And Haaland snuck in behind Tommy and almost scored. That was too close. Tommy isn't paying attention. I put that in the 14th minute. And then 21st minute, great work from Martinelli. Xhaka and Zinny, who crossed it for Eddie, who got ahead to it and it went wide. That was a great bit of play. Then we got the goal on the 23rd minute. And then my next notes, if you two have got any to shout. 27th minute, great work by Martinelli. Crosses for Tommy, who has a go and puts it over. 28th minute, great momentum. Again, all Arsenal. Great momentum by Zinchenko on the left to Georgie, to Odegaard, who lays it off for Saka, who took too long and was surrounded. Best move of the match up until that point. I think that was probably, apart from the Man City's third goal deep, that move where Saka was put through on the right-hand side of the box, where he took that extra touch, that was probably our best move of the game, wasn't it? Do you agree?
Yeah, there was a few moments, the two balls that were put in crosses for Eddie. I thought the first one especially, that was obscenely open of a missed chance. It was crazy that, But Saka also had a great chance. I think he just doing too much with the ball kind of reminds me of the Xhaka one late in the second half with outside the box. It's just once again just indecisiveness that cost us. We showed glimpses of how good we are, but it's correct. You can't make mistakes against City because they're one of the teams that can really punish you and punish you really, really, really badly. So we just didn't show a clinical end to our attacking threat, and it's frustrating. this particular game is, and I've been positive all season and stuff. And, you know, I'm not saying that it's all over, but it's the first time that I've been dejected from a game. And that's including the Man United loss. That includes the Everton loss.
We were the better team on that day by a mile.
Do you know what I mean? I'm dejected with this one because it had moments of, and it's not about the loss. It's not about whether we're going to win or win the title. It doesn't matter. I'm just saying that we showed glimpses of how we used to play again. My PTSD is flashing back in my eyes. Moments like that where it's just typical, as you say, Wenger would be proud moments of just absolute horseshit. And yeah, this is the first time I've been a little dejected, so I apologise, but it's just tough. It's really, really tough to be positive in moments like this. It can really weigh you down.
Adam makes another good point. Says, I pray that the momentum, this return leg isn't a dead rubber. We can't afford to drop any points and have to pray that City somehow slip up. They're going to be fired up now, though, and I fear we'll struggle. Phil says, Eddie should have had 2 goals. Danny was right. Don't start saying that. I'll start believing it. Ray Anderson, Jorginho played well. Yeah, I think he did. He did okay.
Yeah, I think he did well.
There's a little thing here that Carl put in our group of Jorginho. There you go. Wink. He's people at home are on the bus. It's he's having a little wink at Haaland. I don't know what he did to do that, but Carl found that, and that's really good. I'm just going to go and look through. Yes, I know what these are. I've got key notes and I've got key screen grabs. People, that's professionalism for you. Matt D'Souza, with our high intensity play, all it requires is a slight mental and physical drop off, and we look fragile. Perfectly put. And J Rob has given us £1, €1. One of your finest, I think J Rob's in Ireland, the finest Irish pounds. There you go, euros. Very kind of you, J Rob. That will go in the buy Chris, I don't know, some leather underpants or something. And says, Jorginho overhit pretty much every pass he attempted. Played well. Well, hold on. I'm going to go and click on Jorginho. And then I'm going to go and click on pass success rate. And you go to more. Total passes 66, accurate passes 58, pass success rate 88%.
I actually thought
Jorginho played really well. I've got no problems with Jorginho.
I thought his passing, he was making his passes, but I just thought that sometimes the passes looked a bit slower. If that makes any sense, the game sort of sometimes looked a little bit slower as opposed to when Partey makes the pass. But he was making the passes, and he wasn't crabbing it. He wasn't constantly going like side to side.
He wasn't Carrick.
Right, let's move on to my next note. I mean, again, if you've got any, do just shout at me. Martinelli does a cane on Walker, nearly killed him. Stan, what do you think to that? I thought that's hilarious. Dangerous, but fuck him, it's hilarious.
Oh yeah, he did. He did the Ozil thing.
Yeah.
What was that? I must have missed that.
Where Martinelli backed into Walker, shoved Walker
as
up
he was
in the air. He falls over backwards like an MMA move.
Oh right, yeah.
Walker lands flat on his back, and then the game was paused for a couple of minutes.
Yeah, you got to be careful. You know, we'd already made a few mistakes, so I just didn't want us to do anything silly. Which is why I like the way that Mikel Arteta kicked the ball and then took the push, but didn't do anything back. That shows me that he was just being like, that was a nice bit of that was just like shithousery. He didn't retaliate, but he tried to get into their heads.
Deke, point here from I keep reading out Adam's ones. I'm reading out everybody's, or as many as I can. Adam makes the point. Do you reckon if we had Partey, Jesus, and ESR in the squad fully fit, we wouldn't have dropped 8 out of the last 9 points?
I think we win those games.
Even tonight.
Those are 3 players that are, 2 of them are first team and one's a squad place player, but it allows Nketiah to come off the bench. It allows Jorginho to come in as well. It's right, Stan, that, Jorginho's passes were correct, but some of them were slow. But I did like the fact that they were attacking passes as opposed to doing a Michael Carrick and constantly playing it sideways. But yeah, it's once again literally comes down to squad depth. It gets a little bit silly when we come to a point where we're constantly having to rely on Fabio Vieira to come out with something special. It's too early for him. It's way, way too early for him. But
as you mentioned about I want to just I'm glad you mentioned that about Teabag, because it's been a couple of games now where he's been coming in for Xhaka. Do you think that's where the manager then sees where his future is in the squad. His position is in that Xhaka hole.
No. What, teabag in the Xhaka hole?
Yeah, because that's where that's who he's been bringing on for him.
No, I think his future is back up for Odegaard.
You think so? Okay.
Deke, what do you reckon?
Kieran Tierney?
No, I'm coming to this in a minute.
Fabio Vieira.
Oh, Fabio Vieira. Sorry, I'm having a moment. I read the comment and everything. I'm just brain switched off. I was like, why are they talking about Kieran Tierney playing through the middle? What the fuck is going on right now?
As well.
I know we've lost, but fucking hell. Like, we don't have to lose the plot. I see him as a replacement for Odegaard. Not a replacement, an option for Odegaard as opposed to a Xhaka. I don't think we really have anyone in the squad that can kind of do what Xhaka can do. We were hoping Lokonga was going to be that guy, but he's at Crystal Palace. I'll be interested to see how he does, considering he liked to tweet the other day when we drew 1-1 with Brentford, and it was a negative tweet towards Arsenal. So, the more and more I learn about Mr. Sambi Lokonga, the more and more I dislike the man.
Correct. While I got you, Deke, a couple of things on KT. J. Rob says we should have brought KT on for Zinchenko, and Loki says Zinchenko and Martinelli doesn't work. Martinelli needs Tierney. What's your thoughts on that?
Zinchenko has been off the boil now for a few games. I think he gets
indisciplined, isn't he?
I think he gets really and as much as I love his emotion, the fact that he's got so much drive and want, and he gets the fans involved and stuff. I feel like when it comes to those really last-minute touches up the other end in the final third, where we've seen him perform very, very well, his emotion kind of gets a little bit ahead of him. He had a moment again today where he just misplaced something really, really simple, and I think it'd be very interesting to see if Kieran Tierney comes back into the side after Zinchenko's performances. They haven't been fantastic, so we'll see what happens. I guess we'll see what happens, but. There's obviously something going on with Martinelli. The guy has just been dreadful since the World Cup. Dreadful. He's getting worse and worse. No, I'm not doubting that. He's obviously not coming off for him, but he's a shadow of himself before the World Cup. He was the best out of all. He's the most prevalent of all of them. When it comes to burying it into the back of the net. So. I really like it, but I don't know what's going on with him. Maybe, as I said, maybe it's something to do with the Gabriel Jesus thing, the fact that he hasn't got his Brazilian compatriot, linking up with him because he did that really, really well.
I think today's game, though, up until I remember looking at the clock at about 48 minutes, I remember thinking to myself, I've hardly heard Martinelli's name mentioned. But I think in this game, because of the way that they set up initially before they changed their formation and where Bernardo Silva was, they kept trying to get the ball to Saka because Bernardo Silva just wasn't able to get any joy against Saka without fouling him. And especially when Bernardo Silva got that yellow card, I even tweeted out, good, now keep feeding Saka and make Bernardo Silva try and commit because he ain't going to be able to do it and he'll be off. So I think for that most of that first half and then a little bit of that second half, Martinelli just wasn't really getting into the picture. But when they changed their formation, the ball got a little bit spread more even about for us and we were able to use the left. But Tierney, I like Tierney because he makes those overlapping runs, which I think can help. Whereas Zinchenko, he seems to be more wedded to tucking himself into the middle. And sometimes for variety, I'd like to see Tierney come on and work with Martinelli doing overlapping runs.
I think we all like to see that. And we've got two really passionate left backs, fullbacks, whatever way you want to describe them. And sometimes you think Zinchenko, he gets a little bit carried away. I said in the preview show that we often see him on the right side of defence.
I believe that.
Huh?
I'm just looking at that comment from Avon. I do agree with that about Arteta not trusting all of the players evenly.
The quite thing is from Avon on YouTube. It says Arteta doesn't have enough players that he trusts to rotate the side regularly. It cost us 2 8th place finishes, and it's still an issue now. We're tired and struggling.
Great.
Dee, do you think a team needs to have balance? I like the way before where I don't like this inverted fullback. I like the way that you have a partnership with your fullback and with your winger, and then they like we used to have with Walcott and Bellerin. They used to work well together because neither really could defend and they both used to attack. And then I like the Martinelli and Tierney And I like Tomiyasu and Saka down the right-hand side, and occasionally with Ben White if you want to go a bit more defensive. I don't like it when a player plays an inverted, and now that Josh told me what that is, I keep going on about it. Because if you're an inverted fullback, you don't have cover at fullback, do you? And you're lost.
I like the inverted wing-back situation. It allows for attacking off the ball positioning. A 3 midfield with Ben White, Partey, and Zinchenko being there for a quick. The idea is to close down the ball as quickly as possible once it's lost. The idea is to not have to get into a defensive line to worry about a ball being played through the middle, out wide for a cross to be put in. The idea is to close down the middle of the park and the areas where they can get the ball back as quickly as possible to not have to get to that point. It's like, it's that 3D chess idea. I love it when it works, which it has done most of this season. Nobody obviously says anything negative about it because it is what it is. But when it doesn't work or it frustrates, a lot of, obviously the talk of playing as a regular conventional wing back and doing the overlapping option becomes a subject of conversation. At the end of the day, it took Pep Guardiola, his second season to win his title, but he introduced the playing out from the back quite alien to everybody, which is what Arteta's finally getting in with his players. I'm just gonna quietly just see what happens with it. But I really like it. Obviously, I think there's going to be obviously conversations about Kieran Tierney maybe coming into the side now with Zinchenko's performances, and obviously there's a bit of a toss up between Ben White and Tomiyasu because it's a bit fluctuating also. But I want Arteta to keep to the philosophy that's got us there to this point. And if in the inverted wingback role is part of that philosophy, then I'm fully on board.
Moving up to our goal, Big Papa 90. I could think Big Papa Pump. The goal, Stan, talk us through the goal for Saka. The what led up to the goal for Saka.
Oh, the penalty. Sorry, with Eddie Nketiah. Yeah. Happened really quickly at first, and so I had to kind of wait until half time to kind of see it all again, like in slow motion. But that picture describes it. I think that's a penalty for me. I don't see. I mean, it looks like he's carrying him like a child there. Like he carry a small child. I don't see it. I don't see how that's not a penalty.
What this picture doesn't show is the moment where Ederson's got 2 foot in the air. Okay, yeah, he's not 2 foot in him, but he's up in the air. He's in a reckless challenge, and if he doesn't make contact with the ball, then he goes through the player. If this challenge was done at the center, outside the penalty box, this is a free kick. So I don't understand why people are confused as to why it's not a penalty. If this is done outside the box, it's a free kick.
And then Stan,
what I liked about the penalty though was the way that Ederson said, "Yeah, why don't you put the penalty here in this corner?" Yeah. And Saka went, "All right,
that's good. That's a really good shout, actually.
Cheers, good shout." Yeah.
So Eddie spanked it to the goalie's right, Eddie's left, where Ederson was pointing to. It took about 3 minutes for the penalty to get organised because they were Man City.
I can't believe how many times they zoomed in on the offside. Oh, we're talking about that afterwards. But there's the VAR. Oh my God! Sorry.
Yeah. So great goal by Saka.
He's got nerves of steel now, isn't he? He's got nerves of steel, man.
He is. He's got the shoulders of an experienced Premier League player on top of his head, not the head of someone who's 22 now. Amazing. So he scores.
When Ederson was pointing, I was literally thinking, has he already? Because they always say that when you step up for, I've heard strikers say that when you get the penalty, make your decision before you even get to putting the ball on the spot, and then stick with it. And so I was thinking to myself, like, is he gonna stick with his decision, or is he gonna do a change? And the goalkeeper went in the opposite direction, probably thinking that his mind game had worked and he was going to try and put it into the other corner. And he went straight into that bottom corner. Nerves of steel. Fair play to him. He's only young. Fair play to the lad.
So that was the 41st minute. That was 3 minutes after the penalty was given. Saka goal. Then 46th minute, Deke, you'll like this bit. Silva finally gets booked after his 500th foul on Saka. At one point, Saka went up to the ref, held up 3 fingers and went, "That's the 3rd time he's done that." And they were vicious tackles, weren't they?
Yeah, it took a moment. It took the 3rd challenge, the 4th challenge in real life, but for the 3rd challenge in the ref's mind for Bernardo Silva to finally get his yellow card. It was, as I said, it was getting a little bit pathetic with regards to it. As I said, I can't believe that Pep Guardiola asked his players to do that level of shithousery. I've never seen City do that before. In all the years I watched them
Silva
play.
was playing prison rules.
Yeah. I've never seen it done before from Pep Guardiola. So he's nervous. He's nervous. This was a big game for this. This was always Pep's as a that's a pun intended. As a game where Arsenal needed to do it. But not a lot of people talked about how City had to do it against us. We're at the top of the league. We were at the top of the league for a reason. With the money that they've spent over the years and the players that they've got, that we're only kind of just getting started. I thought we played really well for vast majorities of that game. It just kind of ended due to squad, imbalances, and hopefully we can rectify that.
Goose 1066, which is little known fact. That's what the prequel to Top Gun. Goose was in the Battle of Hastings in 1066, and he had an F-16. That's a very little known fact. Says, get into shooting position, don't shoot, repeat. Do that for the entire game. That's about right. Phil says, couldn't we rest Martinelli and play Tierney and Zinchenko? Well, he's going to have to start doing some kind of things. Adam says, it would be interesting if Trossard had started and we brought Martinelli on later in the game. Well, you've got that electric pace and that passion. That would maybe be an answer, because after a game like that, you don't want a fresh Martinelli coming on for the last half hour of a game, turning you inside out. BX says, we could have played Saka on the opposite wing and brought Fabio on. I don't think Fabio's the answer to anything at the moment. Sai says, shit happens, we dust off, we go again. We played 22 games, we have 16 left. We are joint top of the Premier League. And Mr. Waffles says, we could have started Trossard and put Martinelli at centre forward. We could have sat Xhaka and started KT at left back and Zinchenko in midfield. Coulda, shoulda, woulda. Didn't do any of them. Right, so then we, for the 50th minute, still in the first half, Rodri had a great chance and headers it down, and it bounces up and hits our crossbar. That was way too close. Then we move into half-time, gentlemen. 55th minute, Stan. Great moves by Saka and Odegaard, put through for Eddie, who didn't have enough time. We are the best team at the moment. And then Deke for the... Stan, yeah. Were you expecting any changes at half-time? What would you have done?
No. I wasn't expecting any changes at half time, but I mean, just as you described that, we were playing some great football, and the stats that you read out towards the beginning of the show says it all. Having the most possession, having the most pass completions would say that you're in control of the game, but there's one piece missing, isn't it? We're not putting the ball in the back of the net. And as well as that, as we were playing, it really does surprise me that our one goal came from a penalty, not from open play. We was doing everything else right in that game for long periods of time. And we did have some opportunities, and I think as Deke pointed out, that was 3 missed opportunities by Eddie alone. That's what killed us. Missed chance. Sorry.
You keep pausing there, and I think you're done.
My brain keeps pausing. I keep thinking I'm done.
You haven't had McDonald's yet. Got a new follower on Twitch, Youngster100. Hello. While I've still got you, Stan, before I go to Deke. Kaiser Soze, why didn't Edison get a second yellow card for the penalty?
Probably the same reason as Bernardo Silva, had to take how many opportunities before he got his first yellow. Also, talking about, referees handing out cards. I mean, at one point, I thought the whole City team had swarmed the referee. The referee disappeared in like a sea of blue shirts. And I thought to myself, is he going to hand out any cards for that? Because there was that chap that got sent off at Wolves because he was the 3rd guy to approach the referee. So again, it just shows a little bit of lack of consistency there. When we do it, we have to pay fines and stuff.
Phil's put a fake quote from Arteta. They're all a bunch of Saudi money spending cunts. I don't think that's probably not a direct quote. Deke, right? Let's go to the penalty that then wasn't a penalty. The 56th minute. Do you remember what happened?
Yes. This was the VAR moment where, this particular image where they kept zooming in about 4 or 5 times, and everyone in the world is going, "It's offside. Can we just get on with our lives now?" Ball played over. I was terrified about the prospect of Eddie Nketiah making any sort of contact with that, because if he did, awkwardness. Haaland doing what Haaland does. Was it Haaland that scored it?
Yeah.
I can't remember. Yeah.
Yeah.
Luckily, VAR. Obviously, it was a penalty, wasn't it? Sorry, I apologise. Yeah, of course, it was a penalty. But
I know it says chipping goal, possible offside. But
it was a penalty from Gabriel. Saliba had been owning Haaland all night, and then this is the one of the few moments where Gabriel was involved in the Haaland situation. It really says a lot about the differences between Saliba and Gabriel. There's been conversations all seasons about Gabriel. Is he doing all right? And he's been performing fantastically all season. But he still has moments where he does this sort of thing. Luckily, it was called offside. But it shows once again, it only takes a chance for this Haaland guy. He's a pretty decent striker. He scored a few goals this season, and we were up against him tonight. We relatively kept him quiet for the majority of the game. I thought that was going to be it, but luckily it wasn't a penalty. And it was called for offside, so thank God for that. But the VAR guys, I was waiting for them to just forget again.
I was thinking to myself, I bet they're shitting themselves in that VAR booth right now. They've got like a big paint roller out on the screen going, "Fucking happy now? See those lines?"
What was your thoughts on the whole situation with the penalty to Stan?
Squeaky bum time, isn't it? I was thinking, oh, no. But then when when they were talking about the previous offside, that's when I was like, they must be shitting their bricks now in that VAR thing, making sure they get it right. Do not mess this one up, So we got out of jail there, and I was thinking at that point as well, if we've got 9 lives, we're using them up rapidly in this game.
Dean Lake says on YouTube, Haaland intentionally elbowed Gabriel on the back of the net shortly after that. I think I did have
the
that.
Haaland. I was thinking of it wasn't into the neck. It was into the side of the head. It was like a Muay Thai attack. Haaland. I thought he was rattled at that point. I thought he realised it wasn't going to be a walk in the park for him today. I thought I was still in the mind of that moment that we were going to go on and do it, especially with the fact that they had a goal or a penalty, disallowed due to an offside. I thought we were going to push on and do it, and Haaland was just going to get himself a cheeky yellow and see what happens. But I thought it was. I thought VAR should have looked at it. Obviously with see if there's anything a little bit more sinister than the ref could see.
Yes. Moving on, 60th minute, Mahrez off Kanji. Our City going for a more defensive game. They went to play 4 at the back because
they went Rob Holding. They went Holding.
They did, because there's only once. What's his name? The one who was marking Saka the whole time. That's Silva. Once Silva realised that he could no longer drop into the back 3 to make a back 4 to cover Saka because he'd got the booking, I think Pep decided, right, we need to shore it up a little bit there. 61st minute, Grealish booked for dissent, but that should have been a corner to them. He was right. 63rd minute, Eddie booked. I don't know what he was booked for. 65th minute, a breakaway with Odegaard out on the right to Tommy on the right, who crosses it low for Eddie, and Eddie was trying to stay onside and couldn't reach it.
Wait, are you talking about Eddie's yellow card, where he potentially could have got a red card if you made contact with him?
Oh, that one. Yeah. I remember that now. I remember that now.
He raised boot. It raised boot, really rash challenge. I was shitting myself off. I instantly went, that's a red card. That's a straight red.
Oh yes, he ran at it when his foot was
we're going
That's
straight
right,
back
man.
into old ways of Arsenal of conceding goals from sloppy shit and then doing this fucking crap. Sorry, my French. That was a lot of swear words. Then I don't swear much. I just don't get it. I just don't get it. What Eddie was doing there. Got no understanding of any of that. If we're not missing Gabriel, if people didn't think we missed Gabriel Jesus up until this point, they better fucking do now.
We've just had a donation via PayPal, and that's the good thing about PayPal. If you donate via YouTube, they take 45%. If you donate via Twitch, they take 75%. You donate via PayPal, we get every single penny. And someone in the chat, I don't know if you want me to say who it is. His surname, his name may well be Phil, and he may well have sent us 10 quid. Bloody hell. I'm going to have to be nice to him for the rest of the show. So thank you very much, Phil. So there we go.
Good guy, Phil.
He is. Right, where were we up to? Yeah, I remember that now with what Eddie did. So I got a little notification on my phone. Good.
Again, I was just thinking when that happened, I was thinking, again, riding our luck here.
Yeah, I've put where were we? Eddie Burt, the breakaway. That was a really good move down the right-hand side, and Eddie doing his best to try and stay onside, so he couldn't quite get to the ball. 67th minute, here we go, here comes the bullshit. Zinchenko back pass, for fuck's sake. Haaland almost got it. Focus, you fucking morons, is what I've put on the 67th minute. And then the 71st minute, who did the last goal? I think Stan did, didn't you? I think you did.
Okay.
Who went through the last goal? It was you, wasn't it?
No, it was Deke.
Was it? Okay, well, you do this goal then. 71st minute.
No, it was me.
Goal. Huh?
It was me, I think. Yeah, we both did.
Deke, you go through this goal then.
You have it.
Me, you and me.
To me, to you.
Nobody really wants it. Nobody.
Didn't happen.
Hot potato.
Oh my god. Just once again, we were just poor. Do you know what's annoying as well? Is it hit Tomiyasu's boot, and I have a feeling that if Tomiyasu didn't get there, I think Ramsdale would have probably put that around the post.
It's just our luck, though, isn't it? That he's.
It's unlucky, but I'm just like, what is?
No. I mean, no,
ridiculous.
It's our luck though that Grealish has basically been mid for most of the season. He's able to score a goal in this game. It's just like sod's law, isn't it? Not mid in this game. Yeah. And those tight shorts that he wears. I'm sure he buys his shorts at least one size too small on purpose. Because even my missus notices it. She's like, "Oh, look at that! Look at his lunch."
So the notes I made was 71st minute. Gabriel gave the ball away from yet another fucking stupid, fucking lack of focus, fucking short pass. Absolute fucktards. Ball gets to Grealish, who has a shot, and it clips Tommy as it shoots past an outstretched Ramsdale, who would have got a glove to it. But Deke, do you think if he wouldn't have touched Tomiyasu, do you think that
obviously
Ramsdale
I'm just speaking in hindsight, but from the angle and the replays, it looked like Ramsdale would have because it was the same height and everything. It's unfortunate. Obviously, you want Tomiyasu to jump in and do the business and put a challenge in, of course. But when you look at the replays, you're like, oh, fucking hell, really?
I never saw it hit Tomiyasu, so that answers the question. Because when I saw
it bounced.
When I saw it, I thought to myself, he almost got to that. How did he not get that? And that's why
it bounced. It bounced because he made a challenge on it. The ball bounced just before Ramsdale's hand, so the ball literally bounced over his hand. So it would have gone. It would have.
Yeah.
It's just. I'm just like at this point, Tomiyasu must be thinking. Hopefully, he didn't realise that it did what it did. But in the post-match, he's when they're going to talk about the challenges during training during the week. He's going to be like, fucking hell, man. I come in and I cost the Arsenal 2 goals, really. One, he deliberately did and one he didn't.
Mr. Waffles is at fault. He says, he scored because I was talking about him looking like an absolute cunt before the game. It's my fault. Loki reminds everybody, thumbs up. It's free, apart from Phil. It's very true. So how many thumbs up have we got?
We've only got 23, guys. 23. It's pretty pathetic.
Terrible.
Pretty pathetic, guys. There's 60 of you here on YouTube alone after this absolute drubbing of disappointment.
My next note is the beginning of my moan at the beginning of the show. So many throw-ins, back passes, short, tippy-tappy passes are going to City. They are just not concentrating. 74th minute, yet again, Stan Xhaka is in a great position and hesitates on the edge of the box, has the ball taken off him. That's twice in the last 10 minutes he's been in that position, because if he'd have shot and naturally would have missed both times, we'd have gone, oh, why did he shoot from there? Why didn't he just hold on and wait for someone? So couldn't really do right for doing wrong, could he, poor bloke?
I want him to go for it, because he can get them in, can't he? He's had a couple in.
One in every 112.
He's playing so further up the pitch, and he was in a good position. I was, his left foot. I thought he was going to do like a stutter, then do the shot, but he did a stutter, and then he kind of like stuttered and passed again. It was just frustrating.
It's almost like we are kids playing in a sandpit, making a beautiful castle, and everything's going great until someone comes in and nicks our bucket and spade, and we go, well, I'm not doing it anymore. And then you go from creating a masterpiece to just having a big poo on your own sandcastle. Infuriating. Stan, stay with you, because Deke took the privilege of doing their last goal. 81st minute, goal from Haaland. They thread the ball with 4 players and zigzag through the entire of our defence for Haaland to score. The only thing they deserved all game. Is that a bit over the top for me, do you think?
No, I mean, to get the ball, the way that how do they work the ball through like that? And then
because we've given up.
I was still thinking that we might be able to scratch an equaliser at that point, you see. Up until that goal came, I thought we could still be in this. We still might have enough. Trossard coming on, we might be able to scratch out a 2-2, a Desmond. But when that third one went in, I just thought to myself, that's it now. The gulf was too far. I ain't seen us getting 2 goals now, So that was kind of like the heart-sinking moment for me, when I was kind of resigned that we weren't going to get any points from this game at that point.
Is indeed. Phil says he never hated Grealish so much. And then I've made one more note after that. Deke, 88th minute, chance ready, diving header, and couldn't get his head to the ball. Unlucky that Eddie didn't get more of a sniff at goal today, did it? Because it was looking better than he often does. And when you're playing against, some would arguably say, the best team in the world, best funded team in the world, until Newcastle start digging out the doubloons, I thought he was unlucky. Didn't really get the service he desired. So if you had to put your finger on 2 things tonight that went wrong, what would you say they were?
The whole squad depth thing. Can I say 3? Can I say 3?
Say 2.5.
Okay, fine. Squad. We've gone over that so much, so I'll take that as my half. Lack of squad depth. 2, trust in players in giving game time to that said players, and not just constantly trucking in dry and hoping for the best. Tomiyasu being mentioned here. I think he should have played some half-time performances, or maybe started a few more games this season and not been so reliant on Ben White. I think there's flexibility there, and Tomiyasu should have had a little bit more game time. And 3rd, can we call Eddie Nketiah Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, please? Because in the space of what less than a year, he's done 4 U-turns. He's gone from awful, decent, better, worse.
His 10th start in a row in the Premier League. 4 goals in 3 games. That's it. Not good enough, is it?
We are a team that's challenging for the title, or we thought at the start of the season challenging for Champions League football in a league that needs at least, I don't know, 6, maybe 7 Champions League spots, because with the teams that are in this league are just unreal. The money that's being spent is shadowed to everyone, every other top league in the world. We are just different. This league is just different class. The players and the money that's being spent as well. It's just insane. So we've invested $100,000 a week in Eddie, and he has performed well. He's had moments of performing well, but we need consistency. That's what's needed at this moment. We didn't think we were going through it. It was like a trial period. He needs to be putting those performances in now. Before he got that contract, and he had that chance. Those chances towards the end of the season when Lacazette got injured. Sorry, not Lacazette got injured. Aubameyang obviously left, and Laka was just not performing, and Eddie was given a chance, and he did well. But I think if that never happened, and maybe Aubameyang stayed, I think Eddie leaves. No?
Possibly, yeah.
You know,
Was
if
never gonna
Aubameyang
replace
stays
him.
and Lacazette maybe gets a few goals and doesn't go through those dry spells, I think the universe basically says goodbye to Eddie and Nketiah. But he's here and he's had moments, and but he needs to be more consistent with those moments, especially with the chances that he had. That I don't care about the last two chances. I think the first header, I don't know what to say about that. I think it changes the whole concept of the game from that moment onwards as well. I think we go on and win. It's those moments, those small little moments where Eddie has stepped up to the plate, but in an inconsistent way. And that's why I'm going to call him Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, because he's so cold one moment and lukewarm the next. I don't know what to do.
While you're thinking of your 2.5 points, Stan, I'm going to read out a few comments. David Richardson, any relation to the magnificent Kevin Richardson, the only man to almost win 3 top flight titles with 3 different sides? Did it with Everton?
South London gangster Charlie Richardson.
Geezer. David says, great performance from City, and now we go on an unbeaten run of 12 games. I don't see it. Loki says, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Mr. Waffles is doing a Jeremy Clarkson smug face right now. Jeremy Clarkson's The Farm on Amazon. Brilliant.
So
3
good.
episodes
So
last
good.
night. And I love the way people got a petition up to counter the petition from those fuckwits who didn't realise he's playing a game with you and you all fell for it. That's his job, to rile people up. And lots of numbers has made a T-shirt. Awful, better, decent, worse. Deke 2023. Cliff says City's quality far surpasses ours, but we had a chance for a score draw, and the young lad bottled 2 good chances. Not all on him, but those misses are glaring. Errors and a lack of quality equals loss. Fine words, Cliff, and superbly put. Avon says 150 grand a week on Jorginho.
I think he had a decent game. I think
Charlie
he is
George.
a little bit slower, but I think he had a decent game.
Charlie George, hopefully it's the Charlie George. And why did you go to Derby? Why didn't you just stay at Arsenal? Says you saw this. Just put the word bit. You say this, but Jesus went 9 games without a goal, didn't he? Being a bit harsh, I feel.
It's definitely not about that. It's definitely not about that. Yeah, okay, he didn't score, but the thing that he added an extra element. He added that moment of pure brilliance, like a flash in the pan moment where he just opened something up. He stretched the play a little bit. He dug in deep. He made a run. He dribbled past 2 or 3 players with complete and utter ease, allowing a lot of other players around him to get in and out of the box and make some efficient little runs. Martinelli fed off it throughout the start of the first half of the season. When you play against a team that defends very, very well or sits very, very deep, having a player like Eddie Nketiah who relies on being the last player, hanging on the shoulder of the last player, that becomes quite difficult. But with someone like Gabriel Jesus, he's kind of like a lockpick. He's got that ability to be able to go in and out of play and create a pocket of space from nothing, purely based on the ball and off the ball positioning. And that's something that Eddie just doesn't have. So I'm not saying whether I'm being harsh or not, or the fact that Gabriel Jesus didn't score for 9 games. He didn't score, but nobody said a dicky bird about whether he shouldn't be in the lineup anymore, because we were winning very, very, very well.
It was scary. Stan, keep thinking. Couple more comments. 7 of Error, a new name. Hello, 7. Glad you're here. Shame you're not 7 of 9. Cheeky. Do we think we should try Martinelli in the middle and start Trossard on the left, or would that crush Nketiah's confidence? I think
that's why Arteta gets paid the big bucks. He's got to make that decision. It doesn't matter what we discuss here. I said that Trossard should have started this game with you, Danny, didn't I? Before,
Go on.
I just think that
Stan talked about this pre-show, pre-game. Stan,
there you go.
I just think that we all talk about things like can Callum Chambers play in the middle, or can we play this player in the midfield who plays in the defence? What about Kiwior? He's played. We say all these things, but Mikel Arteta is never going to do it. So I think if Martinelli, a lot of us have said, why can't we have a look at Martinelli through the middle? I don't think we're ever going to see it. I think we've seen it once, haven't we? And he's never gone back to it. So I understand the discussion, and even I have some of these thoughts as well. About maybe bringing on Trossard and putting Martinelli through the middle and see what that looks like. I just don't think that Mikel will ever go there.
Ray sums it up perfectly, as always, Ray. Thank you very much from sunny Jamaica. Jay's, and now I've said that, I'm thinking we've got a few people in that cluster of islands, and I can't remember. One of them might not be from there. I'm sure, Ray is in Jamaica. Jesus facilitates others to score. Maybe that's the reason why Martinelli and Xhaka is looking off the boil. It's got vision. If you had a look at Jesus on Football Manager, it will say vision of about 18 out of 20. That's his job. Mr. Waffles, I don't give a toss about Nketiah's confidence. Start Martinelli in the middle. Perfectly put. And Phil says, and Jesus was contributing to those wins. And someone dodgy called Deke says Ray nailed it. Ray certainly did. Avon says Arteta once played Martinelli and Saka at 8 against Liverpool, and after Xhaka got sent off. Stan, your 2.5 reasons, what are things we could have changed in this game to have done better?
I'm going to stick to the two things that I pointed out right at the top of the game. I think the first thing is decisive mistakes, which were costly. The Tomiyasu mistake. I think if that doesn't happen, we're in the game. And then quite near after that, opportunities that were missed, which also were very decisive. If Eddie gets that header in, then I think the game does take on a different complexion. So they're the two things that I think were that I really noticed today that I think has cost us. But I just want to round that off by saying I still think that there are points to play for in this season. I am disappointed today, but I still think that we have an opportunity. And I still look back at that season where Leicester won the league, and we were the only team that were able to beat Leicester twice that season, and we still couldn't get the job done. So I'm still got a bit of hope that things may go our way.
Where are we up to now? Right, that's all my notes done. I'm going to save that and then close that window. Just looking at a few more things. The ratings from today's game. Our highest rated player was Saka with 7. Our lowest rated player was Tomiyasu with a 5.2. Odegaard with a 5.7. Ramsdale with a 5.8. I thought he made a couple of decent saves. A man of the match went to De Bruyne with a 7.9, a goal and an assist, and looking like Prince Harry, which is never good. And while I've got you two here, because you two didn't do the pods, because Chris doesn't like anybody else other than he's once he's in bed with, like thick as thieves. We are next away at Aston Villa, Deke. Aston Villa's last few games at home in the Premier League, smashed 4-2 by Leicester, beat Leeds 2-1, and drew 1-1 with Wolves. Should we expect anything from Unai?
I think Unai Emery is a decent manager. Ollie Watkins has been decent the last few games as well for Villa. It's going to be interesting. Leon Bailey's a quick player. He's been a bit off, on and off this season and stuff, but I liked him at Bayer Leverkusen. I think he's a good player. Yeah. I think we win. I think we win the game. I'm hoping that this is going to be the game we start to turn around and we make it, a positive on the negatives that we've got, and we start just turning things around. But who knows? I think it's going to be a boogie game. I think it's going to be a bit of a weird one because of Unai Emery and everything like that. I think it's got that added element. Before that, it didn't really matter with Aston Villa. It's going to be interesting as well with Douglas Luiz. There was an opportunity of him to be able to come to Arsenal, but he ended up staying, and he signed another contract with Villa, and I think he's just kind of just accepted that now. So that's going to be an interesting element to the game as well. So let's just see what happens. I'm gonna hope and pray that this is going to be a win, and I'm confident that it's going to be a win.
Stan, after that, we were away to Leicester. Leicester's last few games smashed the scum 4-1 at home, 2-2 at home to Brighton, and then they lost the 3 before that. 1-0 to Fulham, 3-0 to Newcastle, 1-0 to Man City. How do you see that one going?
Well, it all depends on what happens in this next game, because we've now gone 3 games in all competitions where we've had a loss. And as I mentioned earlier, if you look back at last season, we had clumps of those. This is the first one. So going into the Aston Villa game, although I said earlier, a few moments ago, that I was confident and there were more points up for grabs, if we lose against Aston Villa, then that will be our 4th game. And that will be unacceptable. That will be worrying. We've gone 3 games now without a loss. That should be enough now. We should have got wherever it is out of our system. So we should be going into this game and looking for a win. And then obviously then with the next game being Leicester, as you mentioned, we go in, we start forming a run again, which is what we need to do. We need to get a run back. This has to be the only blip. And it's been 3 games. That's enough now. Can't afford to be a 4th one. This can't be allowed to fester. You know, winning should be infectious, and we've lost the last 3. Important game, Villa. And just for that Unai Emery comment as well, this isn't the remnants of Unai Emery's team. I don't think there's any players from his tenure left, is there? Probably Tierney and Xhaka.
Yeah.
That's probably it, isn't it? It's like it is a refreshed team in that sense.
I'm not too worried about either of those games. I think Leicester just had a good day. Spurs are rubbish at the best of times. Loki says the Villa game is the hardest. Fold or move on. And says, will Arteta Edu be under any pressure at the end of the season if we finish outside of the top 4, Deke? It's a tough one, isn't it?
I mean, it depends on where we finish outside the top 4.
18th, then probably 5th.
I think if we finish in Europe, I don't think if we don't get European football of any kind, then I think questions might be asked. But I really, really don't know.
Yes, indeed.
I think that's difficult, isn't it, to justify how you go on for after a 3rd season of not being in the Champions League, of not qualifying for that. As much as I enjoy what I'm seeing at the moment, and I do believe that this team, there's more to come from them. I mean, they've invested. When you invest the amount of money that they have, are they going to feel the need that they're going to have to be a little bit strict if it's the 3rd season in a row where that revenue is going to be missed? But then
we
again,
don't get Declan Rice.
But then again, you know, what happens if the allegations against Man City get stretched out and it turns we finish in 2nd place, and then a week later there's an announcement that Man City have withdrawn from the competition and we get the cup. Anything could happen.
It's going to drag on for years.
I know, wishful thinking.
Of course. I want points deduction right now, but it's going to drag on for fucking years, man. It took them how long to fucking put this? Oh, whatever.
We'll finish
over 100 fucking things that they've done wrong.
We'll finish 2nd this season, but in 4 years' time, somewhere around that, we'll get this one handed back.
Can't wait.
Put the date in your calendars.
I can't wait. I'm doing it now on my phone. Don't worry. Give me a sec.
Just found a little thing that Stan was talking about, our run of games, and it's save it in there as that. Lovely. I'm going to come over here, and then I'm going to slip it in there. No one will notice. I've got someone's comment up still. Right, Stan, this is our current run of form. I think that's right. I've just gone and edited it. Loss, draw, loss. Is that it? Or have I done that the wrong way around? Loss, draw, loss. Yeah. So if we don't win, that would be a game run of 5 games without a win. Even last season, we only did that once, which was about the same time as now.
Yeah.
Games 24, 25, 26.
Same time, same period. That's strange.
Yeah, I remember back in the day where we get knocked out of the League Cup in February, get knocked out of Europe in February, and get knocked out of the FA Cup in March. Sometimes be knocked out of all 3 competitions in the space of 3 or 4 weeks. And if you look at these cluster of games here, people at home, you can't see this, but from game 14 to about game 29, the majority of them every season just go on massive losses. I mean, a couple of years ago, we just lost most of the games or drew them. But it is worrying that you can see, you just move this along one game. Last season, game 24, we lost. 25, we lost. 26, we drew. 27, we lost. 28, we drew. This season, we're just one step behind that, and we've mirrored them. So
there's a clump there in that 2019-2020 season from like game 14, which is giving me a stomach ache. Just looking at it.
14 to game 28, we won 1. Yeah, we're playing him on next week, so the weekend. So that's Emery.
You know what happened after that?
What?
The man came in. Sorry, it is what it is.
It was. Avon says, if we aren't in the Champions League from positions we've been in, changes in the management team will be what most fans will want. Oh, imagine having to go through all this all over again. Loki says Emery will try and suck our blood. Mr. Waffle says, said it before, I'll say it again. Arteta ain't going nowhere no matter what. He's the project. Kind of agree with that. BX says 3 losses and a draw looks bad. A 5-game slide is unacceptable. Waffle says Merry Christmas. Oh, that's about Loki. No point in having a new manager. We ain't Spurs. True. Avon, yes, it all started with an FA Cup loss last time. Yes, it was Forest, wasn't it? Mr. Waffle says, it's almost like after so many games with the same 14 players, they start to fatigue. Play Football Manager. It happens every new year. Your tactics and your players all turn to shit. And that's why Gloucester City fired my arse. And now I'm manager of the bloody vegans in League One.
Danny, you don't get that problem if you play career mode on FIFA on amateur setting.
It's just spanking in goals all over.
It's like Harlem Globetrotters, mate, I'm telling you.
Avon says, by management, I don't mean Arteta. I mean upstairs. And Phil says, trust the process for next season. I've gone and found, because Rudy has abandoned us. A couple of quotes are from Arteta, thanks to Charles Watt on Twitter. Arteta, quote, we are feeling down, especially because they, the players, knew we could do much better to get a very different result. We just gave them the game. And the second quote, games are decided in the boxes and we haven't given too much away today and weren't ruthless enough to convert our chances. That's what we have to improve.
Yeah.
Then don't keep playing someone up front who struggles to score. I don't see there's many other quotes, but I think that'll do us, gentlemen. I think we have had more than enough sadness and tears. And you brave lot, 47 of you are still here. A medal to eat, an MBE for each and every one of you. And Ron Ree wants to know when is St Tottenham Day. Well, it is going to happen this year. No matter what they think. So that's it. Deke, where can people find you if they don't want to find you on Twitter? Out of the bins at the back of the Lidl?
Yeah, that's pretty much where I would find my Twitter account. That's for sure.
Good. Yes, but if people do want to find you on Twitter, it's at Deacon Justified, but he doesn't.
I wouldn't recommend it. Wouldn't recommend it. I see some games and some stuff. Wouldn't recommend it.
If you're a cat, then maybe you quite like it, but as a human, he probably won't like you.
No.
Stan, people quite like you, don't they, Stan? You're quite a chirpy fellow.
Well, if you're wondering where you can find me and you've not been bored after the 3 servings you've already had from me today, you can catch me for a 4th serving later on, where I will be popping onto Tony and Mr. Tom's wrestling podcast, The Full Nelson, which will be on, I believe, at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And we're going to be looking ahead to this weekend's WWE pay-per-view, which is the Elimination Chamber. So if you're into wrestling and all that sort of thing, come and check that out. The Full Nelson podcast.
I like a bit of wrestling. I've been watching on Twitch. Someone has been going and just streaming all the stuff from the WWF website. And I forgot how much I hated D-Generation X. Get on my nerves. Those pricks coming out, are you ready? And it just does that.
And if you don't like it, Dan, I've got 2 words for you.
No. And every time I see China and I think, bloody hell, that woman was fit. Jesus. So sad. So very, very sad. Well, people, that's it. I think we're back tomorrow night with a podcast. It'll be Chris and maybe Josh and maybe Carl. And I'll be sitting in the background. I think we've got Big Bob coming around to do some work for me because he's got a week off. And that'll be it. It's been just over an hour. Things haven't gone the way we wanted. We can still win it, though. I don't think we will. I think we've capitulated 3 games in a row now. We've shown the Man City, like you were saying during the game, Man City saw that we don't like it uppers. Well, it's the Wenger days all over again. Go out there, rough houses. The referees aren't going to protect us. And if anyone tries to protect us themselves, like Xhaka, he would have been sent off, no doubt. And we miss our key players. So hopefully we've got what it takes to go and beat Villa and go and beat Leicester, but I wouldn't put your life savings on it. Thank you very much, Deke. You have been effervescent.
Thanks. I'm dealing with this little shit. She's going to jump up here in a minute and knock all my crap down. Look, she's fucking hitting it now, little bitch. Right, yeah. Have a good evening. You fucker, stop it. Stop it.
And Stan just had pussy problems too, ain't you, Stan? Your one was just mooching around.
Yeah, she's sat on my lap purring now.
I've got 4 cats. None of them will even come anywhere near me. They hate me. Bloody things. Put them all in the bin and get new ones. Start again. Stan, you have been you've been titillating to. This is the opposite of Deke's effervescent. He makes you fizzy, and Stan just makes you horny. So thank you very much, Stan. The cat's gone.
I'm sure there's a hidden compliment in there somewhere. And thanks for having me on. And I'll see you all next time. Thanks to everyone in the chat for stopping by, and drop a like on your way out, please.
Thank you very much. We will see you all again tomorrow night, probably 8 p.m. And that's it. Anyway, good riddance. That'll be bum.
As soon as I scored that goal, I was fucking livid. Get down, dog. Splendid business.
He nearly caught the bloody thing. What are you talking about?
So I was just eating a full quiche. Well, you don't often see them at Ig, so when you see them in the supermarket, they need to be swagged, microwaved immediately, and get the brown sauce on and bosh, Bob's your uncle.
Never in doubt.